Welcome back. Let us dig into the papers now. And I'm joined by my partner in good things.
Good things, yes.
Samuel Kojo Briggs, though sometimes he's naughty and he does all kinds of other things that I would rather not have him do. On a more serious note, he's a fantastic human being. Charlie, it's been a while. You dogged me, Chair. Or is it because you were in the Western region?
Yeah, Charlie. I had to.
Boga so Boga.
Yeah, I had to go and dig some stories from that place. And today, fortunately, we were playing one of them. You know, there are fantastic things happening in those areas. One of them, when I was exposed to it, I was like, wow. Because we've all known Chamfine to be used for very bad things.
Yes.
In terms of destroying the environment.
Right.
So when I heard a certain SHS graduate is using it to produce power for his community that is not connected to the national grid, I was really excited and grateful that the story has been done and today is going to be aired. So yeah, one thing I also saw was that they have bad roads, Ben. As for that one.
Yeah, you mentioned the last time.
Yeah, government would have to do something about it. From
where specifically? Is it
from Bodier?
Bodier.
So Bodier.
Okay.
From Bodier to so there's a teaser of what you see.
Wow.
I mean, this is the road leading to that community. It's called Jantua Chrome. We're driving around was it around 8:39 p.m. on this road, and I was like, are we really going to a community? Yeah, but the road from Bodier to Asankragua is terrible, and that should be a major road though, linking two major towns, Bodier and Asankragua. Asankragua is the capital of that particular municipality. So to have the road linking the two in such a deplorable nature, I just couldn't understand why we would do that to such a place. And you know, that place is one of the leading places where we get cocoa from.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one of the leading cocoa production areas in Ghana. Lot of cocoa. I mean, on my way, I met not less than 10 trucks, you know, cutting cocoa from that area to Harbour in Takrady. So really, government would have to compensate the people by fixing that particular road. And I saw an ambulance driving on the road, and it occurred to me that, look, if anybody should be seriously ill and we have to transport a person on that particular road, if God does not intervene, the person might not make it because the road is...
So you see why sometimes I find it really problematic. This is a major cocoa producing area.
Yeah.
You get your resources that fund your budget, that ensure that you can meet your economic obligations as a country. And yet you would think that you would want to put there the best roads so that the goods can be carted to the major centers. And you see why sometimes the smuggling happens, not because I support it, but with better prices in some neighboring countries and others, you would have people opt to leave because they'll think, bad roads, transport fares, it will impact the eventual price and everything. Why not? So
it makes
you see how for some other produce,
it makes them feel
why
rejected.
we lose out.
And when they feel rejected and someone is giving them a better pricing, they'll run to the person. So government would have to really pay particular attention to that area. What I saw was not good at all, really. The road was really bad.
Well, we'll get into some of those.
What's probably, I talk about that, I may probably have to give an update on the Takwa road. I drove on it.
Right.
Compared to the last 2 months or so when I used it,
right,
this is a little better.
It's a little better. So what work has been done?
So what they've done is that they've tried to scrape off most of the terrible portions of the road. The only part that is left is between, just before Dumping, and between Dumping and this place where we have the river. Oh, it's a popular place. How can I forget this?
I'm not sure which one you're speaking.
It's one of the places that Erastus brought the river from. Bonsa.
The Bonsa River is what you're speaking of.
So between Dumping and Bonsa, that place has not been charged. It's so terrible. I even busted tie there. But for that portion, all the other portions where there were very bad potholes, they have either tried to fill them or scrape them off. So when driving on it, it's quite better than it used to be 2 months ago. So I mean, that's something that probably we should. I should report. It's not like we're applauding government. That's its responsibility. But yeah,
right.
I should let people know that it's quite a little better. But when you're driving between Dumping and Bonsa, be careful because that portion is still in a terrible shape.
Before we get into the papers, I'd like to know what your take is on some developments. Special prosecutor, 16 months on, no salary. And not just him, so his deputy, other workers who came along the line. And that, for me, I found it so interesting. You know why? Because for me, it says a lot about whether we mean to fight corruption. And do you know why it's scandalous for me? You follow the trajectory of what happened to Martin Alamisi Benz Kaiser Amidu. And the things he complained about
and I'm told he's still,
for years.
He's still old.
And how he went through. So I felt that, okay, let's turn a new chapter. You've brought in a new person. The script is still the same.
It's still the same. It hasn't changed. Our commitment probably is questionable. It's not probably, it is questionable, because if you look at what has been happening, are we committed to the Special Prosecutor's Office, or we are not really? To owe someone who we have empowered to fight corruption, and the people he is fighting with are not like you and I. These are the high and mighty in society, people who really can put brown envelopes on the table to convince you, to confuse you on what you're doing. And if this guy is not being paid, you ask yourself, how is he then executing his role?
His mandate.
And then how is he even living such that he's able to fend off all of those gestures from these people who do everything to ensure that they stay in the unscrupulous business? So government, with this revelation, has really not done itself a lot of good. For us to know that he's not been paying, or government has not been paying the man and his staff for 16 months. Yesterday when we calculated, he is owed over 520,000 Ghana cedis. If you're looking at the amount he has to be paid every month.
520,000.
5.2 billion owed cedis. That's a lot of money for a young man like that. 520,000. And you are not paying him. If you have an unscrupulous person he's investigating come to him with an envelope that contains $1 million, what would he do? If you don't get someone who is so sincere and his integrity is intact and he's so jealous about his integrity, he will take it and fend off.
And Kisi Ejabeng is somewhat of a friend as a former lecturer. He taught me criminal law.
Okay.
And I know he has principles, okay? But sometimes they say, you know how they say an idle hand is the devil's workshop, and opportunity makes the thief. There's a very nice rendition of it in Spanish. So the point is, someone may even be good. And I'm not saying him specifically, but sometimes when you push people to the wall, that is when disaster strikes. That's where the devil is.
Like people say, do we eat integrity? Do we use integrity to pay your school fees? So it gets to a point where when the challenges hit him and someone has a $1 million envelope on the table, what do you expect the guy to do? So government should do the needful. I don't know why we are owing him.
And every time there must be some whistle blowing or something before. That is what I don't get. Now you have the MPP, the head of the committee, come and it's been resolved. Where is the proof? What exactly shows it's been resolved? You remember when the finance ministry, there were ghost names and all of that. The money has been refunded.
Where are they?
Just
When it happened to the first lady and the second lady, you remember, they showed evidence of them paying back into the government coffers, isn't it? We saw evidence of that. They showed us the transaction, whatever. So, I mean, these things should let us, but it hasn't, it should not get here. It tells of our unseriousness, in quote, to the office. Because this office was it a panacea to fighting corruption among political
in this country, nothing is a panacea to anything. I saw in yesterday's daily graphic, IMF then panacea to it. Is not a panacea anywhere.
I'm saying that
we don't have any panaceas.
When we created the OSP, the feeling we got was that now we are going to tackle corruption head on. I mean, you were there. Well, we all here. When Martin Amidu was even given the mandate to be the first person occupying that position, we said, wow, voila, we're going to end this. Didn't we say this? I said it. A lot of Ghanaians believed that we were going to do something. And then Martin, with all the problems that he faced, had to resign. Then people started asking questions. Really, are you going to achieve something? So when you feel like we are going to get somewhere, then our, do I say ineptitude? It is. Maybe it is not. But our unserious nature really exposes the intent, the real intent behind
And
it.
me, I'll say this, Samuel. The seriousness from the top is what will trickle down.
Oh, exactly.
It's like in Singapore, when the leader says, we've done all of these things, like other developing countries have done. There's going to be a shift in mindset, actions, and everything. You do this, you'll get caught. You do that, Everybody was whipped in line. And then those growing up fed into that generational thinking. And now it has become a certain way of life for them. Because some people don't know anything else apart from that way of life, which has consolidated their national life. You come here, and what example do our leaders themselves set?
Leadership is everything, really.
And today, as I share my blunt thoughts, I'll go hard on some of those because it's simply not working in this country. And our leaders are compounding the problem. Recently, something I'll share in my blunt thoughts. I felt bad because I read an article from Bloomberg, and they were actually literally mocking us as a country. And you look at everything we have.
And we still have to go around begging.
You know, I found it funny the other day at the IMF SLA, staff level agreement, joint presser, and in the background, it was written there, Ghana beyond aid. And we're still...
But that's not aid. The IMF is not aid, is it? It's a loan. We're going to pay back.
Masa, we should get beyond all of these. I keep citing the example, the British or the English variously. In the 80s, they went to the IMF for a program. They were in dire straits, on the ropes. Since that time, they've not gone again. Ask yourself why. The Spanish have a saying, nunca jamás, never again. There are some things that some of these more advanced democracies would not, they would say, this is it, we are not going back. How many times have we been to the IMF?
It looks like our nature is to borrow. Because you wonder why we still borrow in this time to buy cocoa. That thing, I still can't understand the whole arithmetic around it. That we've had cocoa all these years. We've not been able to save up enough such that we can buy cocoa out of our own resources. But we're always, I don't know, is it something that it is supposed to happen and that's why it happens or what? Because if we still have to go for a syndicated loan before we are able to buy cocoa,
and do you know how long that has been going on?
It doesn't cut it.
It's practically every year.
That's why I'm asking whether it is standard practice that it has to happen.
Same scenario.
I mean,
Same scenario.
I don't get it, really.
Same scenario.
Why haven't we
the country doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Why haven't we been able to save up all this while we've been selling cocoa? So that at a point, we are not going to need your loan.
Some problems we've grappled with. Look at how even recently the Volta Aluminium company and the problems there.
Wow.
All of these were the brainchild of Nkrumah and how it started in 1966, I think 67, thereabouts. Some other projects were supposed to come into full completion, but of course we know what happened on the 24th of February, the year prior to that. Some of the things, silos for our farm products, and some of them rotting away. Yet we keep complaining about post-harvest losses and all of that. It appears 60 plus years on, we've not put our thinking caps on, and we still can't deal with issues that some 60 years ago, there was a roadmap for, clear, do it this way. 60 years on, we still have leaders who, like KSM shared on my show the last time, they are thinking analog when we are in a digital world. Charlie, let's get into the papers.
There's this farmer I spoke with in Takrady, Isawa Drago, and he had a grant to construct a warehouse for vegetables in Takrady, such that we could have employed about 1,000 youth growing vegetables, and that warehouse could have stored them so we could sell to the oil companies. Because the oil companies do import these vegetables from Ivory Coast and other places. The grant gets in, and you know what politicians do? They divert the fund to other people. We don't know where the project is now.
Classic case of Sikamu Matreko.
Oh, I mean, this country is interesting. I was speaking with Professor Gordon, the environmentalist at the University of Ghana. He says he doesn't understand why we still are used to bottles, the plastic bottles, when we have a lot of the materials to produce glass in this country. Charlie, this country, we have to... I don't know. There has to be a drastic change, something that will...
Look, let me tell you, we need a change in leadership.
Yes.
And I'm not necessarily saying, I mean, those alternatives, NDC, MPP, no, that's not what I mean. We need a change in leadership. We need more young people in leadership. My only fear is that some of the young people too, because of the system, they've been compromised. But we need young people with vibrant thinking, creative thinking to spur on this country. We need people with integrity. We need digital thinking people, not analog ones. There are so many. God help Ghana.
Yeah. God help
Ghana. Charlie, let's get into the papers we have. I have the Daily Graphic, the Finder. What do you have?
I have the Daily Guide, the Chronicle, and the Publisher, the Ghanaian Publisher.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so the Daily Guide. Special prosecutor battles Colonel Damwa. Hey, that story won't go away anytime soon. I don't know how to lie. That's according to General Mosquito. Reduced prices of goods, services, according to Ano Dompre. Now, let me bring you details of the special prosecutor and the Damwa battle. Now, the battle line appears to have been drawn between special prosecutor Kisei Jabeng and the immediate past commissioner of Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Colonel Kojo Damwa, retired, as they prepare to face off in court. Colonel Damwa and a deputy commissioner of the Customs, Joseph Eduche, have sued the special prosecutor and one other for maligning them in the office of the special prosecutor's investigation into the La Bianca report saga. They are asking the court to dismiss the investigative report by the special prosecutor into the activities of La Bianca Company Limited, a frozen foods importing company. Ben, this will be interesting, really. I mean, I would want to know how this progresses in court. The court dismissed that investigative report. I mean, I would want to know the argument that both counsels will be putting up.
Time will tell.
I want to be in court to witness this special one. Okay, there's...
You want to go with Joseph Akakpo and see feely what happens.
I really want to witness this one because this will be special. I'm not sure it's a case that we've ever seen that a special prosecutor has done an investigative report and then an individual who's cited in the report says that court put it aside. There's nothing in it. What sort of argument? And
let's see how they slug it out. But this posturing also smacks of the impunity with which, because look, time and again, people have said that. People are even pointed to Charles Bissu and the rest. And a certain route will be used and say, these people are being cleared. What do you do? So for me, I have serious problems with our governments in and out, not just this administration, but especially with this administration in terms of dealing with people who are seen to be complicit with video evidence in some things that have been done. So if in the Charles Bissu case and the PPA boss, Ejenim Boateng Ejay and others, we can deal with it a certain way, yet we can sack Charles Edubuahin. In other words, we can sack Charles Edubuahin. What's the measuring rod?
Yeah.
Where's the standard? Do you get it?
Yeah, but Charles's own, I'm told, someone was saying that the vice president, whose name was really being used to, I mean, in the influence peddling thing, has to sue.
You mean Charles Edubuahin?
Exactly.
Right.
Because his was some businessman, I mean, trying to get some largesse from a businessman using the name of the vice president. So someone was saying that the vice president is the one to go to court if we really want to get to the bottom of this.
Well, there are dynamics in there, legally speaking. And that's one thing I've also been waiting to see whether it will happen. Whether the vice president, in an attempt to clear his name, will actually take up the matter. If there's nothing to hide, and if this person is indeed peddling influence, you saw the long message on social media and all of that. Will it ever happen?
Well,
only time will tell.
But the paper says that, however, even before the case will commence, the special prosecutor has fired a salvo, raising questions about the propriety of the appointment of Colonel Damwa to the position of Customs Division Commissioner. Mr. Jabeng indicted President Akufo-Addo for appointing an unqualified person for the GRA top job. According to the SP, Colonel Damwa, having been dismissed from the army, had lost every right to be appointed Customs Commissioner. Wow. And the quote is, in any case, if the assertions of the applicant to paragraph 8 of the affidavit in support of the application is to be taken seriously, then the first applicant, Colonel Damwa, who was previously dismissed from the Ghana Armed Forces, could not have been appointed to the position of Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority, the special prosecutor said in an affidavit in opposition to the suit. Wow. That's what I'm saying. This case will be interesting.
Dismissed, huh?
Yeah.
Did you say dismissed?
That's what the special prosecutor is saying. That he was dismissed from the Ghana Army, and therefore he didn't even qualify to be appointed to the Commissioner of Customs.
We'd have to find out though, whether he was honorably or dishonorably discharged.
Oh, but if you are dismissed,
if it's a dismissal, then
dismissal there, and this is coming from the special prosecutor, who is a lawyer, who knows what he has to say, the right things he has to say, and this is in an affidavit. So I'm sure that so he won't.
He shock you?
No, so he will use the right words. I'm saying
no. He shock you?
No, he not shock me. Just that I'm saying that it will be interesting in court.
Wait, so he was supposedly, per the special prosecutor, dismissed
from the Ghana Army. Yes.
And yet he was seconded to be...
Exactly. He says, then the first applicant, Colonel Damwa, who was previously dismissed, and the word is dismissed, from the Ghana Armed Forces, could not have been appointed to the position of Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. That is what the SP is saying.
Papa. I'm seconding you to go and follow that issue and come here so we can digest.
Thank you. I'll go and listen. I'll come and report to you. Yeah, now, the incumbent General Secretary of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, Ali, today is Friday, isn't it?
It is.
Tomorrow, you have to sit by JoyNews all throughout, because I tell you what.
In fact, the action is starting today, because on the AM show, we'll be doing some, what do I say?
Charlie?
We'll be carving out, we'll start the ingredients for the food, we'll get the saucepans and everything.
Yes, in the newsroom, someone was saying that this is probably the hottest contest they've ever witnessed in the NDC.
I mean, I've never seen it get this feisty. Look at what happened. Yes, there were dastardly scenes, but the competition. National Youth Organizer, Women's Organizer. Fortunately, the two incumbents were able to scrape through. But with these ones, with Mosquito and Ofusuampofu, with the General Secretaryship position, Dr. Tukuno, with the obviously free anchors, with the Fifi-Kwetes for different positions, portfolios,
And a lot of things are coming out. And we know that a lot of things happen in the 2020 elections. Now, the incumbent General Secretary, Asedun Ketia, has stated that it is not in his DNA to peddle lies, as he indiscreetly reviews the party's top secret relating to the 2020 general elections and the presidential election petition. According to him, the NDC 2020 presidential candidate, ex-President John Dramani Mahama, had issues with the appointment of party agents and collators of elections. He said Mr. Mahama had wanted a national executive to hold on to the appointment of Director of Elections and Director of IT until he was elected flag bearer because of trust issues. In an audio capturing the revelations during a campaign with some delegate, Mr. Asedun Ketia, who is popularly known as General Mosquito, said Mr. Mahama sent the message to them through his right-hand man, Julius Debra, at a national executive meeting called at the instance of the appointment. Charlie, that's why I say a lot will be happening, in this particular. And yesterday, Yamino also throwing some salvos on the on upfront.
Let me not talk about Joseph Yamin. Let me pause.
Anyway, then let's do other papers.
The Daily Graphic this morning. Chifo Atimokwa, stop Galamsey, create jobs, residents urge duty bearers. We also know Asantehene, Otumfuo said too, has been summoning some chiefs in whose communities mining, or illegal mining, I should say, Galamsey has become a big situation. And there's also scale-up quality of legal education, Chief Justice to Ghana School of Law. Sometimes when I read about legal education in the country, I'll comment my reserve. I'll reserve my comments.
I mean, you are part of it, or you are not trying to enter?
Oh dear, my main reveal, because sometimes the system can be, yes, we're going down that road. NDC gets set for Congress tomorrow. So very quickly, let's start from pages 16 and 17 with the legal mining bits. Let's go there first. So it prides itself as one of the food baskets or bread baskets serving the central region. However, like many food producing areas, the residents lack the basic social amenities, a situation that has not spared the constituency from the impact of illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey. The Galan farmers produce cocoa, oil palm, on a commercial basis to support themselves and their families. Indeed, about 72% of households in the constituency engage in agriculture, according to the 2021 Population and Housing Census. However, the high unemployment rate in the constituency has compelled some of the youth to actively engage in the Galamsey menace that has destroyed their once potable river, Pra. Edu, a resident of Kifu Praso, said it had become difficult to control the activities of illegal miners because many of the youth did not have jobs and depended on illegal mining for survival. Kojo, so you see the situation.
Yeah.
Bread and butter issues. Yeah. Once you give people what they need, you create the mechanisms for them to be able to earn a living. Then at least some things are resolved. Yeah. But when currently a loaf of bread is worth more than your minimum wage, a loaf of bread.
See, and this is written by my friend Shelley Asieduado. Good morning to her in Cape Coast. Now, when I was going to Jantua Chrome, on the way, the road that you saw us drive on,
right,
both sides have been mined by these guys.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of those roads.
Yeah.
They are death traps.
Yeah.
So if you get to the edges, if you're not careful,
so your
car will just...
So at a point, I was asking the guys who were going with me, are we really headed for a community? They said, oh yes, we are going into a community because look, it gets to a point you feel that we are going into a ditch. And they say, oh no, and then we turn aside and then we go there. Look, that is far from Asankragwa itself. So look at the distance between that place and Accra. There are no jobs there aside farming. And once the money that the gold will give you is way and above what the farming will give you.
Right.
So these boys are lured to go into Galamsey.
Quick money.
And that's so when I got there, I realized, no, here, there's nothing. But for these boys, Chamfan, which is producing power for them, there would be no light. In a community where you don't have light, there's no company, there's only land for you to farm, and there is Galamsey. What would the boys do? Obviously, they would choose what they would get quick money from.
Did you say that there was no light in the community?
No, there's no light.
They are not connected to the electricity grid?
No, they are not. So the only power they have is this small boy who's using his Chamfine to generate power for them. So he switches the machine on from 6 p.m. and puts it off at 11 p.m. when everybody is asleep. So in such a community, so look, for us to tackle Galamsey, we have to go out of the box and look at how we can really tackle it than the knee-jerk things we do here. Because when I got there, look, this community, this is the camera light that you see behind me there. It is a community that there's no life. After 6 p.m., there's darkness, but for these boys, ingenuity. So really, for us to tackle Galamsey, look, we really need to go down there and understand them. From their perspective.
After these decades, what more do we need to understand?
But what have we done to understand them? Because yes, we can send, can you always put military on them in all of those communities? No, you can't. So you send them there. When they leave, the guys go back to site because there's nothing for them but to farm. Have we really painted farming to them as a credible alternative for them?
In fact, now, many of the youth, when you tell them of farming, they see it as a poor man's business. They see it, especially because, yes, we've not painted that picture, that farming, this is what you can accrue from farming. Young people are in it and are doing very well.
There's a project JoyNews is working on, which, of course, we'll be launching probably next year, where we are going to bring you the people you see on screens who are into farming and they are into big-time farming. John Dumelo, Senor Hossi, and all of them who are doing farming is a business for them.
Right.
How we can get the youth to appreciate it from that angle.
Right.
That's last time I was telling them that look, we have to go down there and let them understand that farming is probably an alternative. They won't get money immediately as they get in gold, but when they go into that
progressively, you'll get far more.
Yes, but do it over time and grow. they will get it.
We should also then add to the bid, yes, the agric minister has tried in some respects, though I feel that was a bit of a flip-flop because you don't expect the banks to. The banks also are risk averse in certain ways. You know, there was a point where they were calling for the banks to give more money to farmers. In fact, just a small percentage of the loans they give out go to farmers because they're also risk averse. They want to please their shareholders. They want to turn a profit at the end of the year. And the other problem, when you, the central government, you are borrowing so much from the banks, your domestic debt from the banks, and the banks feel, well, this is safe money. It's basically easy money. They would want to give that money to you rather than to private business, rather than to the farmers. So in effect, government with one side of its mouth is saying one thing, but on the other, it is doing the exact opposite that is affecting the farmers
That is true. That is true. I agree with you. So look, the Galamsey Minister, if we really want to deal with it, we have to be creative. And agric is possibly our only weapon. But we have not been able to market it so well to the people, and that's why we are where we are.
Kojo, we have some 4 minutes. Let's just do a few quick stories. The Chief Justice, Kwesi Aniniaboa, has called for a paradigm shift in legal education with an emphasis on quality to keep pace with international best practices. According to him, quality legal education was a critical component of effective justice delivery, as lawyers had to be relevant and responsive to the country's development needs. I agree with you, Mr. Chief Justice, but still, open up legal education more. Some of the things you've been saying, you know, this is like an ivory tower sort of situation. Kenya did it. Rwanda has done it. We can still get the quality and open up. Yes, we can. We can do that, Mr. Chief Justice. So let's look at those approaches. Let me look at the... So page 5, 166 South Sudanese civilians killed since August, 20,000 displaced. That's on the international front. And Ramaphosa fights for political future over scandal. And this one is brewing. This morning, coming here, I was listening to the BBC. Charlie, African leaders, sometimes I just wonder. And on the back page, Qatar 2022 greatest ever World Cup. That's according to Gianni Infantino, FIFA president. Do you agree?
It's been extraordinary.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Is it the best, though?
We have to give it to them. You might want to, because, you know, every event built on the other.
Right.
South Africa was massive. Brazil took it and took it a step further. Russia took it, went further. So you have to give it to them. And look, the investment they did was massive.
No, I think the next highest is like, is it 6 or 9 billion or something? Charlie, they spent over 200 billion.
Yes. And look at one of the stadiums has already been
dismantled,
ready to be shipped to any country that needs the services. The guys are
thinking.
They are thinking. We have a Sipon stadium that we built in 2008, and it's collapsing. Look, I went there. There's a feature that will be coming up soon here on this network.
All right.
And when you see it, you'll cry.
Let's do the rest of the stories very quickly.
Well, Chronicle, leaked audio over 2020 presidential election. Apologize to the judiciary now, NPP tells Mahama. And I love this picture from Asiru Nketia. Mosquito dashes to parliament, but NDC MPs are divided over his candidacy. And look at what he's done. He's going to cut someone's head off. Francisca grilled over 3 million citizen sanitizer deal. But good news here, we have to share it with our people. The currency rate, look. According to the Bank of Ghana Forex rate,
the central bank's rate.
Yes. But it's corresponding, really. Look, US dollar is selling, is buying at 7.9, so like 8 cedis, and selling at 8.0055. And that is what is happening. I was in the newsroom when one of our colleagues went to change 2 days ago. She got it at 8 cedis. So it's good.
Where was this? I'm curious.
Oh,
okay. Just
guys,
around here.
The Alhaji.
Oh, huh?
The Alhaji's place.
Oh, okay.
Got it for 8 cedis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so the dollar is...
You've just given me a hint. I have to...
I mean, if you have to, you have to change it fast.
I mean,
because, Charlie, the dollar is becoming beans, but we are grateful. I hope it continues anyway. Let's keep with those stories.
All right. So the Finder newspaper, I see Adun Ketia's audio. Mahama NDC owe Ghanaians judiciary apology. That's according to the MPP. Richard Ahiangba has been touting that. In a way, I agree with him, but I could also put a number of things to him about the MPP that they have to apologize to Ghanaians for.
Well, but when it comes to that petition, you know how it was, Ben.
Oh, I know.
Then
I mean, I gave it to them yesterday about why they would put us through all of that.
For us to hear that you went to court and took us through that process when you didn't have
agonizing. Right. All births and deaths registry staff transferred to local government service to decentralized process. Vehicle users not changing worn-out tires due to high cost. And you know what danger that poses. The tire, no, but he or she will not change it because the kwacha, the kudi, no day. Police arrest 153 drunk drivers in 6 out of the 17 police regions. And this is definitely a step in the right direction, especially as Christmas approaches.
The Ghanaian publisher, just reading the headlines, Clash of the Titans, who wins for NDC survival, Ampafo or Mosquito? Apologize for your frivolous petition, MPP tells Mahama. Shraj will exonerate me, Deputy Gender Minister designate. Ghana worried about Russian mercenaries on Burkina border. The statement the president went to give to the everybody says
it is what it is. I mean, but the Deputy Gender Minister designate and her issue and sanitizers and interest and all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we somehow
would exonerate her.
We need a system where, look, if you're in leadership or you're tied to certain entities, it should be clearer, our conflict of interest rules and procedures, so that you know definitely that. No, why I'm saying that is I still feel it is a bit murky, so people still feel this and yet
I'm
that.
the rules are clear. You have to declare your stance that, on this particular contract we're going to talk about, I have an interest in it, so I'm going to excuse myself. Well, whether we
do we see that? Anyway. Kojo, let me share with you the title of my blunt thoughts this morning. Back to the IMF, but with the same weak fundamentals. Why it won't work. Back to the IMF, but with the same weak fundamentals. Why it won't work.
Wow.
I'll explain to you when I get to my blunt thoughts. A very happy birthday to Dennis Craig, my foster father in Tennessee in the United States. Today's your birthday. God richly bless you. Hey, I say, we did 70. And then my brother, my friend, Alex Boateng, you're a wonderful person. Very gifted. Happy birthday to you as well. Do you have any birthdays?
Yeah, no birthdays, but two of my friends are here and they say they are watching us. We call one Jeff Cantona. He plays football like Ronaldinho, and then Henry. Charlie, come on, dear. Miss my one name, them the Kenya. I was there in my one be. I'm not the Bella Hobo ever my na. I will bab ye ne Hobo ever my na. Cobo my said they asked into Crown Bo. Number the Bella Hobo na. And my mom from Miss Mabiela. The Bella Hobo ever my ne.
And that is. The rap version, the hip life version of the AM News Review.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Maza.
One day we have to do.
You can't come here and say things we don't understand.
Oh no, why? But there are people in Ahanta and people in Accra who are hunters who are watching, so they understand. Don't worry. Justice Bedu really understands this. What I said perfectly. Akakpo even understands. So don't worry.
On that note, let's get into sports. But before we do, we know water is life. It regulates your body temperature and keeps you alive and kicking. Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for all occasions: 330, 500 ml bottles to fit your pockets and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. We have also introduced our special 19-liter jars for offices and homes. Now you just need to stay awake with Awake purified drinking water wherever you go. So come on, grab a bottle of Awake water and get quality hydration. Awake purified drinking water, one for life. Remember, for every bottle you purchase, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. It's produced by Casapreco. For bulk purchases, just call 0262 351 251. This advert is FDA approved. Sports up next.